الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. باب قسم الصدقات, chapter on distributing the different types of charities, mainly zakat. قال وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تحل الصدقة لغني إلا لخمسة: لعامل عليها أو رجل اشتراها بماله أو غارم أو غاز في سبيل الله أو مسكين تصدق عليه منها فأهدى منها لغني. So this is the first hadith on how to distribute the zakah and who qualifies to take the zakah. As you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah At-Tawbah said, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبِهِمْ. So this is the four categories with lam al-mulk. Then he said, وَفِي الرِّقَابِ وَفِي الرِّقَابِ وَالْغَارِمِينَ وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ. So these other four different type four. So the first four with lam al-mulk. The second one fi, meaning qualifies for these categories. فَرِيضَةً مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listed 8 different types of people who qualify to take the zakat. The first one we'll explain inshallah a little bit here so we can put things into perspective. للفقراء والمساكين. What's the faqir? The poor. What's faqir? يعني faqar. يعني his spine is broken. يعني because he has, it's like a lot of poverty is always يعني broken down to the ground. And the one who barely makes any income, يعني they said less than 50% of what he needs, right? The masakin, the needy people, someone who makes money but living paycheck to paycheck, barely making it, so the expenses more than the income, so over 50% normally. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned al-fuqara wal-masakin. Some people say that al-faqir, the one who asks and solicits money from people. The miskin is sukun, silent. Why he's silent? He doesn't ask people, and silent, always making calculations in his mind. So this is what they said, al-fuqara wal-masakin. Some people say they're the same, but it's truly not. قالوا هذان نوعان إذا افترقا اجتمعا وإذا اجتمعا افترقا. So when they're put together, they have different meanings. When they're used separately, they're the same meaning. Abu Hanifa reversed the meaning. He said the faqir is what we mentioned about the miskin, and the miskin is what we mentioned about the faqir. It doesn't really matter. And the jamhur is what we mentioned already. So that's al-fuqara wal-masakin, the people who basically are in need. وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا, the workers, the employees who collect the zakah, who make the calculation, that the people who are just. And this is the first class in this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said the sadaqah is not permissible to be taken by a wealthy person, right? So what is the wealthy person? Yesterday we mentioned one criterion. The one who shouldn't be asking people is the one who has enough provision for one day and one night. Here they said the one who has the nisab, basically. If he has adequate amount of money to reach the nisab after the expenses and after spending all what he needs on his life affairs. So if he has the nisab, as we mentioned before, the nisab of zakat, then that is considered adequately wealthy. So that's the definition of wealthy. What's the definition of rich in this country? If you own over $500,000, according to some indices. So in Islam, if you own a nisab, if you're $4,000, $5,000 and above, that is wealthy. So you're either a taker of zakat or a payer of the zakat. So the workers of the zakah are excluded from this. So al-fuqara wal-masakin wal-amilina alayha, right? So even if a person is wealthy, it doesn't matter. He owns tons of money. But if he's employed to collect the zakah, right? So that's a job basically, then they qualify to take the zakah. And it's coming, inshallah, how much they would take out of the zakah. So then وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ. So this is to gain their hearts basically in order to make Islam appeasing to their hearts. And that's either a non-Muslim, you want to basically avoid their harm, or you attract to Islam, or someone with weak faith, you want to encourage them and entice them more to Islam. So these are three different categories under al-mu'allafat qulubuhum. And this is the time, during the time of Umar, he kind of paused this channel for the zakat, because at that time there was no mu'allafat qulubuhum. Ahlul Ilm said now, it seems like it is back with the عندما رق إيمان الناس ورق دينهم, when there is a need for it, it is back. So the second class, so this is the first one, Allah added the lam, that's lam al-milk, the position, meaning it has to be individually owned and possessed by the recipient of the zakat. The second one, he said wafi, meaning in these different channels, because it doesn't have to be possessed and owned by the recipient, right? And these are the ones. وَفِي الرِّقَابِ, in order to release the captives. So this is either a slave or a prisoner, you need to pay in order to free them. So that's one. Al-Gharimin, the people who are in debt. And that could be individual or on behalf of a public entity, such as the second hadith, inshallah, will shed some more details on this. Someone taking the loan on behalf of a masjid or an organization. And then وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, in the cause of Allah, this is for the jihad fi sabilillah. And then وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ, the traveler who is basically cut off during his travel and he has no accommodation and means to spend on himself. So that's where you can spend the zakat. So this is just a general, just to put things into perspective, and inshallah every single category will be classified, will be explained in details during the hadith. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying that the zakah cannot be given to a wealthy person, except someone who's working on collecting the zakat. And that will include the accountants, would include the adjusters, would include the programmers who are working on the computers and the IT support, all the ZRS organization that we talked about before, Zakat Revenue Services. So that's a complete organization that would work on calculating the zakat, collecting the zakat, and distributing the zakat. And the social workers and all that stuff, they're all considered part of the employees for the zakat. أو رجل اشتراها بماله. So someone bought it. How is that? Meaning, a recipient of the zakat got a sheep or a goat. So someone goes and buys it from that recipient, that is okay, even if that person moves. So it could be zakat for a person and could be a commodity for another person. أو غارم, the one who takes the debt, even if he was wealthy, then it is okay. And this is, as we mentioned, for example, there is a dispute between two people about certain amount of money, and then a person comes, you know what, I'm going to take care of it. What's the difference? $50,000, I'll take care of the $50,000. You guys continue with your partnership. So this is تحمل حمالة. So he took that on himself in order to reconcile between people. So even if he was wealthy, in order to encourage the good deeds in the community, in the society, then he can take it from the zakat, right? Or even if he was wealthy and it was individual debt, he still can qualify for the zakat. Clear? أو غاز في سبيل الله. The original في سبيل الله, those people who wanted to go out for the jihad with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they didn't have the means, the right and the arms for it, then they can take from the zakat even if they were wealthy. Clear? أو مسكين تصدق عليه منها فأهدى منها لغني. A needy or a poor person receives the zakat. So for him the zakat, can he give it to others as a gift? Yes, he can give it to others. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he was offered some food, he was given just the gravy without the meat. And he asked, where is the meat? He said, this was a zakat that was given to Barira. He said, for Barira, and this is exactly why the Prophet ﷺ is giving the example to teach people. It wasn't about the food. He said, for Barira, it is a charity, it is zakat, and for us, it's a gift. So the poor or the needy person can receive it as a charity or as a zakat, but it can be gifted again. Is that clear? طيب, more hadith. One more hadith, inshallah. وعن عبيد الله بن علي بن الخيار أن رجلين حدثاه أنهما أتيا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يسألانه من الصدقة فقلب فيهما البصر فرآهما جلدين فقال إن شئتما أعطيتكما ولا حظ فيها لغني ولا لقوي مكتسب. So Ubaydullah bin Ali ibn al-Khiyar, he said, two people came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asking him for charity, for the zakat money. So the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam looked at them, and they were kind of young, energetic, strong people. And he said, meaning, out of haram, if you want to take haram, I'll give it to you. You don't qualify for this. If you want to take it يعني unlawfully take it. But the ruling, he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, a wealthy person shouldn't take it, and not a person who is able to earn money. لقوي المكتسب, who's capable of earning the money, strong enough, healthy enough to make the earnings. Right? So what is the قوي المكتسب? So this is the second the second hadith, as we mentioned. A person who is able to work, this is potential wealth, right? They always say potentially wealthy. What does that mean? Can hold a job, can have a job, can have employment that would be sufficient to support him. So a person who can work does not qualify for the zakat. And what is the criteria for that? The scholar said, meaning a job that meets the qualifications of that person, right? Meaning if someone, physicist, and all what he does, think and do nothing, right? You cannot tell him, okay, work as a janitor, right? This is not something he can do. Or a physician tell him, okay, well, we found you a job as an accountant, right? Or IT person, go work on delivery. If a person can do that, that's fine, but it has to be basically suitable for the qualifications and the status of that person. But someone said, I just want to sit at home and do dhikr and do ibadah and, focus on take prolonged paternity, take care of these kids before they grow up. That doesn't work. Okay? Everyone has to work if they're capable, right? There is no unemployment in Islam unless there is a reason for it, right? So, if they take the zakah, that is haram, and you cannot give such person a zakah. So this is someone who wants social security, that they have to qualify for it for a reason, but not out of ones, because the government should spend on me, and there is, alhamdulillah, SGH has a surplus of zakah now, so let's apply and take more zakah. I think the hadith is very clear, alhamdulillah. طيب, next hadith inshallah for next weekend بإذن تعالى. It's kind of long. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Can we give zakat to Sayyid?
A what?
Sayyid,
This is in 3 hadiths later, we mentioned that in the original rule, Ahlul Bayt do not qualify for the zakat because they would take the khums of the ghanima, the fifth of the ghanima. Scholar said, now there is no fifth to give them anymore. So if they're needy, you can give them the zakat.
So if you have brother, sister, especially sister, lost their husband.
Yes. So the zakat, as we will mention before, you cannot give the zakat to the people that you are required to support normally. These are your parents and their parents, and your children and their children and their children. So this is vertical, right? So you cannot give them money. But horizontal, this is your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your relatives, uncles, aunts, they can take the zakat, no problem. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ, it counts as double reward. As a sila, you're connecting the kinship, and as a sadaqah, as a charity.
Can I ask you a question? You may have discussed it, I wasn't here yesterday, but the concept of tabligh, and I don't know if it's in the Hanafi or what, they say that there's many charitable organizations that work in our countries, but the ulama say that you cannot give directly to those organizations. You have to make the recipient the owner, tabligh.
Right.
And then they find roundabout ways of doing that.
So the tabligh is a very complicated issue. And as we mentioned, this is why I mentioned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put two different categories. One with lam al-tabligh, and these are the first four. They have to own it. The second one, fee, meaning they don't have to own it. And the tabligh, the ownership, scholars, contemporary scholars said there are two ways of doing this. Either the individual ownership or by proxy. Proxy is meaning an organization that can handle their affairs. And that would be the Zakat organization that, let's say, would buy the food, would buy whatever needs they are. And that's more practical because how can you go into a refugee camp and give him tabligh? If you give him like $50,000, you know how much worth that is for them? Zero. Nothing, because they don't know what to do with it, right? So what do? On behalf, you give it to a proxy organization that would work and manage their affairs. But if they can individually own it and they're capable of spending it, they can have them. So al-asl al-tamlik, but al-tamlik again could be individual or could be organizational.
So what they do is a lot of the hospitals that run on zakat, they cannot give it directly to the recipient because, like you said, the recipient won't be able to buy medicine or get CAT scan or whatever. And then they have the recipient sign a form in which they make the organization their wakil, so to speak.
That's the proxy, right?
So they sign a form that we agree that you can collect and spend on our behalf.
Yeah, and if you do this form, that's even better, but it is not required even.
Another question. Suppose
We're still in the beginning of the chapter, so all the questions come in the first lecture usually.
say a person can work,
If I what?
say a student like 19 or 20 years old, he can work, but he's going to school.
Yes,
So can I give the zakat to that person?
100%. Yes, even talib al-ilm, the one who's seeking knowledge, you can give him the zakat because they cannot work. The one who does not qualify, if someone who has the time, has the physical ability, can work, but you know what? I don't want to work. I want to watch my kids as they're growing up and not waste a single moment of pleasure. Don't you see these guys?
The other thing was that you said that people who owe money, like maqrood or whatever. But in this society, a lot of people, owe money because they decided to, mortgage or finance, which is haram anyway. But a lot of people are in debt, quote unquote, because they own a house and they own a car that they have not paid out. So those people, I don't know, would they qualify as somebody who owes a debt?
We'll talk about that in more details, inshallah. It's because al-gharib, as I mentioned, has different types, so it is coming. But if I answer every single question, that's the whole chapter.
Jazakallah.